My wife lost it when I refused to share my son's savings with her kid. But what she didn't realize was that by pushing me that far, she was about to learn exactly how deep a father's love and loyalty can run. I've got 2 boys living under my roof. My biological son, who's 17, and my stepson, who's 19. Both of them are good kids, and both work part-time in retail. My stepson actually got his job first, he's older, more independent, and landed something before my son did. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When my biological son started earning paychecks, I made a little decision, one he didn't fully understand at the time. Every time he got paid, I quietly set aside 30% of his earnings. Yeah, I know, that might sound strict, even controlling, but hear me out. I wasn't taking his money for myself. I was saving it for him. I wanted to teach him something that took me years to learn, the value of saving and delayed gratification. I didn't tell him exactly what I was doing with it, just that I was holding some back for later. I figured one day, when the time was right, I'd surprise him with the total and show him how far discipline could take him. My wife knew about this from day one. She was fine with it, even thought it was a smart move. Money's always been a tricky topic between us, though. We've kept our finances mostly separate because she's had some rough experiences in past relationships, and I've always respected that. Fast forward to now, my boy's turning 18 soon, and he's been dreaming about buying his first car. Every day, he's scrolling through car listings, talking about models, calculating insurance, just buzzing with excitement. So, one evening, I sit him down at the kitchen table and tell him it's time to talk numbers. He gives me this confident grin and says he's saved up a decent chunk. I nod, play it cool for a second, and then drop the surprise. Actually, you've got more than you think. When I told him about the stash I'd been secretly saving, his jaw literally dropped. He blinked, then broke into this huge grin that could have lit up the whole room. Next thing I know, he's got me in a bear hug so tight I thought I was gonna lose a rib. That right there, that moment, made every dollar worth it. But, of course, happiness never lasts long in this house. My stepson overheard everything. And from the look on his face, you'd think I'd just handed his brother a winning lottery ticket. He started throwing out words like favoritism and unfair. And before I could even process that, my wife jumped in with her take on the situation. She tells me, completely serious, that I should split the money between both boys to keep things fair. I just stared at her. You're kidding, right? She wasn't. She actually wanted me to take half of my son's hard-earned money, the money he worked for, and hand it over to her son. I reminded her, calmly at first, that she could have done the exact same thing for her own kid if she'd wanted to. No one stopped her. That's when she shifted gears. She said since my son's college tuition is already covered by his grandparents, it wouldn't be fair for him to have a car fund, too. That since her son will have to pay for school himself, I should even things out by sharing the car money. At this point, I could feel the heat rising in my chest. My son was standing there too, listening, and he finally spoke up. He looked right at her and said, "That money came out of my paychecks. Dad just helped me save it. Nobody else gets a say." And honestly, he was right. But my wife didn't back down. Her family started chiming in, a few friends tossed in jokes that didn't sound so funny after the 10th time, and suddenly, I'm being painted as the villain, the guy who plays favorites. I'm trying my best to stay level-headed, to reason with everyone, but it's wearing me down. It's one thing to disagree about money, it's another to feel like your own household is turning against you for doing something thoughtful for your kid. And now, I'm stuck asking myself the question that's been eating at me for days. Am I the unreasonable one here? Or is this whole situation just as insane as it feels? For the record, and I've told my wife this before, I never kept the plan a secret. She knew exactly why I was setting aside money from my son's paychecks. What she didn't know was that I was matching some of it myself. That part was my little surprise, a bonus for his effort. It was never about favoritism, just a father trying to teach his son what real responsibility looks like. But now, that lesson might cost me more than I ever expected. Top comments, before the update. Comment 1. If you split that money, you'll destroy the trust you've built with your biological son. It might sound dramatic, but once he sees that his hard-earned savings, and the gift you added on top, were taken to be fair, he'll never look at you the same. Fairness doesn't mean equality, it means effort earns reward. Your wife chose to keep her finances separate, and that's fine, but she doesn't get to suddenly merge them now that it benefits her. Her poor money management isn't your son's problem. And the fact that your son's college is covered by his grandparents? Completely irrelevant. You didn't steal from anyone. You guided your kid into learning how to save, something her son could have done too if she'd cared enough to do the same. Comment 2. I'm so over this entitled fairness mentality. Nobody's owed a dime they didn't earn. Your son worked, saved, and learned discipline. Your stepson had every chance to do the same but didn't. That's not on you, that's on him. Your wife knew what you were doing and even could have mirrored it for her own kid, but she didn't. The grandparents paying for college? Again, that's a blessing your son earned by being responsible, not some cosmic debt you owe to her son. They're trying to guilt you for being a good father, don't let them. Comment 3. Your stepson might not be reckless with money, but he clearly doesn't grasp long-term saving. Sure, he knows how to set cash aside for a new phone or jersey, but that's not the same as thinking about the future. Your wife saying he should enjoy his youth is nice in theory, but that's how people end up in their 30s with no emergency fund and a mountain of regret. A reliable car and the independence it brings, that's the kind of joy that lasts. You taught your son a real-life lesson that will serve him far longer than any new gadget ever could. Comment 4. This whole situation shows a huge difference in values. You're teaching your son about patience and responsibility, while your wife seems stuck in the spend it while you can mindset. You didn't favor one kid, you invested in one's future. Her kid could have benefited the same way if she'd taken the initiative. Now she's trying to retroactively fix it by demanding your son's money. That's not fairness, that's envy dressed up as concern. Comment 5. Your son's reaction says it all. He wasn't angry about you saving some of his money, he appreciated it because he understood what it meant. That bear hug you got? That's pure pride and love. Don't let anyone take that away from him, or you a man. Things have really hit rock bottom lately. I think my marriage is done for good. I've been holding on, trying to believe we could patch things up, but some words cut too deep, and once they're said, you can't take them back. It all blew up after my stepson stumbled across a post online, that post. The one where everything about our family situation got dragged into the open. He saw it, recognized the details, and absolutely lost it. My wife didn't take it any better. She packed her things and went straight to her sister's place, saying she needed space. But truthfully, I think she's already made up her mind to leave. And the way she lashed out before she left, man, that's not something you forget. The anger in her eyes, the things she threw in my face, not literally, but the words, they cut deep. You can only take being called selfish or heartless so many times before something in you just breaks. Now, she's sitting pretty with a financial cushion I helped build. I've been the one covering the mortgage, paying the bills, keeping the house afloat. She didn't have to worry much because I made sure everything stayed steady. And now that the end's clearly in sight, I'm not about to just walk away empty-handed. My cousin, he's a lawyer, warned me years ago that I should keep my name on the title, that I'd be entitled to half if things ever went south. Looks like that day's come. So yeah, I'm getting my ducks in a row. It's not revenge, it's just fairness. But in the middle of all this chaos, there's my son. My anchor. Remember that fund I secretly built for him, the one I'd been tucking away piece by piece from his paychecks? He finally knows about it. I decided he deserved to have full control over it now that he's nearly grown. He's planning to buy himself a decent car with part of it, and keep the rest for college so he can focus on his studies without stressing about part-time jobs. Smart kid. Smarter than I was at that age, that's for sure. I'll admit, when I told him about the stash, I was nervous. I half expected him to be mad that I'd been taking money without fully explaining why. But instead, he laughed, actually laughed. He said, "Dad, if you hadn't done that, I'd probably have wasted it all on a MacBook and Uber Eats by now." He's not wrong. I told him how proud I was, not just of his saving, but of his mindset. He's thinking long-term, and that kind of maturity doesn't come easy. That moment, just the two of us sitting there, laughing in the middle of everything falling apart, it was grounding. Amid all this chaos, he reminded me what matters. My marriage might be over. My house might become a battleground soon. But when I look at my son, I see something solid, something I did right. Watching him grow into a man who makes smart choices, who's thoughtful about his future, gives me a strange sense of peace. I guess that's life, isn't it? Sometimes one chapter burns down just so another can finally begin. And as much as it hurts to watch my marriage collapse, at least I know that when the smoke clears, I'll still have my son. And that, right there, makes everything worth pushing through. Man, if I thought things were bad before, I had no idea what was coming. You ever spill soda and it just keeps spreading, getting stickier the more you try to clean it up? Yeah. That's my life right now. After my wife stormed off to stay with her sister, I figured we just needed a little space, time to cool off, let the dust settle. But then she called me, voice sharp and shaking with anger, and dropped a bomb I still can't believe. She said, and I quote, "If I want her to even consider coming back, I have to buy her son a car exactly like the one I got my son." I honestly thought I misheard her. I just sat there for a second, phone in hand, trying to process it. When I finally found words, they came out somewhere between disbelief and fury. "Wait, you're kidding, right? That's what this is about now?" She didn't hesitate. "It's about being fair," she snapped. "You always treat your son better than mine. I want you to fix that." That hit me like a punch to the chest. "Fix that?" I said. "I'm not treating anyone better. I'm not about to reward a 19-year-old like he's a toddler who needs matching toys to stop him from crying. This isn't a competition." Her tone softened, but only slightly. "It's not about toys, it's about belonging. He needs to feel like he's part of this family. You're supposed to make him feel welcome, not like he's a guest in your house." That one stung. Because deep down, I have tried. I've shown up for that kid. Helped him with job applications, car insurance quotes, even bailed him out when he overspent. I've treated him like my own. But this wasn't about belonging. This isn't about fairness, I told her quietly. This is about control. You're trying to guilt me into something that has nothing to do with love or family. It's manipulation, and you know it. There was silence for a moment, the kind that hums in your ears and makes your stomach twist. Then she said, "If you can't see why I'm asking this, maybe we do need this time apart." And just like that, click. She hung up. Now the house feels hollow. It's that kind of quiet that doesn't bring peace, just tension. Like the calm before a storm you know is coming but can't stop. I've been replaying that call over and over, trying to make sense of it. I get the idea of wanting both kids to feel equal. I really do. But equality doesn't mean copying everything to make things look fair on the surface. That's not love, that's theater. And using her son as leverage to make me give in? That's a low blow I never expected from her. Meanwhile, my son's starting to catch on. He's seen the messages pop up on my phone. He's overheard the angry late-night calls. I've tried to keep him out of it. He's just a kid dealing with school, exams, and plans for college, but he's not dumb. He knows she's asking for something big, and he's torn. He doesn't want to see the family fall apart. But he also doesn't want to lose the car he worked his tail off for, the one that represents every late shift and every saved dollar. And that's the part that breaks me. Because now I'm stuck in this impossible spot. Do I stand my ground and risk losing my marriage for good? Or do I cave, buy that car, and set myself up for a lifetime of, if you really loved me, you'd do this too? It's like no matter what I choose, someone's going to bleed for it. My wife, my stepson, my son, maybe even me. Right now, I'm just trying to keep things from spilling any further. But it's like the more I wipe, the wider the mess spreads. And honestly, I'm starting to wonder if some spills just aren't meant to be cleaned up at all. You ever hit that point in life where you think, okay, surely things can't get any crazier than this, and then life goes, hold my beer? Yeah, that's me right now. After all the chaos about cars, fairness, and who deserves what, my wife just came up with a brand new demand that feels straight out of a bad soap opera. I swear, if someone wrote this into a movie, people would call it unrealistic. So yesterday, my phone rings. It's her. She's still staying at her sister's place, and honestly, I think they're over there drafting a list of how to make my life a living headache. Her tone is sharp, calm, but with that edge that means she's about to drop something outrageous. And sure enough, she says, if you can't afford to buy my son a car like your son's, then you should at least ask your parents to pay for his college tuition. I actually laughed at first because I thought it was a joke. Spoiler, it wasn't. I said, wait, hold on. You want me to ask my parents to pay for your son's college? How on earth do you think that's fair? She doesn't even blink. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Your son's grandparents will probably help him out anyway. We just need to keep things balanced. It's only fair. Balanced. That word again. It's like her new obsession. I told her, look, them helping out their grandson is one thing. But asking them to pay for a kid they barely know? That's not balanced, that's delusional. She sighs, like I'm being difficult on purpose. What's the big deal? It's just money, and they have plenty. It would show that you care about my son just as much as yours. And that's when I lost it. It's not just money, and this isn't about what they can afford. You're asking for something way out of line. This isn't reasonable, and deep down, you know it. She pushes back again, I'm only asking you to make an effort. My son already feels left out. This could help fix that. I said, by dragging my parents into this? That's not how family works. You're asking me to put them in an incredibly awkward spot. She goes, maybe if you explained it, they'd understand. It's all about family, right? And that's when I realized she truly didn't see the problem. It's not their responsibility, I said quietly. You can't just declare that someone else should foot the bill for your kid's education. Her voice turned cold. Well, I think it's worth asking. And if you don't, it just shows where your priorities really are. Click. Call over. I just sat there staring at my phone like it might apologize on her behalf. Because honestly, what do you even say to that? It's like she's living in an alternate universe where logic doesn't apply and emotional blackmail is just casual conversation. I spent the rest of the evening pacing the living room, trying to wrap my head around it. I even talked to a couple of close friends about it, just to make sure I wasn't overreacting. Every single one of them said the same thing, that her request was outrageous and manipulative, and that I was absolutely right to stand my ground. One of them even said, man, if she's willing to drag your parents into this, you need to start thinking about your exit strategy. And maybe they're right. Because lately, it feels like every conversation with her turns into a test I can't possibly pass. Meanwhile, my son's been quieter than usual. He's overheard bits and pieces, the tense phone calls, the frustrated sighs, and I can tell it's getting to him. He's trying to stay focused on school, but the tension in the air, it's thick. He doesn't want to pick sides, but I can see it wearing him down. And that's what kills me most. The kid's just trying to live his life, and he's stuck in the middle of something he never asked for. So that's where I'm at. Standing on this tightrope between keeping the peace and standing up for what's right, and every step feels like it could send everything crashing down. No good answers, no easy fixes. Just me, trying to keep things from completely unraveling while hoping that, somehow, doing the right thing will eventually start to feel right again. Well, guys, this is it. The update I never thought I'd be writing. After everything, the endless arguments, the wild demands, the constant walking on eggshells, I've finally hit my limit. I've made my decision. I'm filing for divorce. It feels strange to even say that out loud. I never saw myself as the kind of man who'd walk away from a marriage. But there comes a point where holding on does more damage than letting go. Let me back up a bit. This wasn't some rash, heat-of-the-moment choice. After that whole fiasco, my wife demanding that my parents pay for her son's college tuition, something in me just snapped. Not in anger, but in clarity. I realized that our marriage had turned into a never-ending negotiation, a constant battle of what's fair according to her ever-shifting standards. And no matter how much I tried to reason with her, it always came back to me being the bad guy for not giving in. So, I sat down with a lawyer. Just to understand what it would mean, what I'd be getting into. I wanted to know the process, the costs, my rights, especially since we've got 2 kids in the mix, even if one's my stepson. The lawyer laid everything out, and for the first time in months, things started to make sense. Then came the hard part, actually going through with it. When I finally had the papers drawn up, I can't even describe what I felt. A cocktail of emotions, guilt, sadness, relief, even fear. But above all that, a quiet sense of resolve. I knew I couldn't keep living like this. When she got the papers, it went exactly how you'd imagine. She called me up, voice shaking with fury. What is this? Are you seriously doing this? Yeah, I said, steady but calm. I've thought it through. This is what needs to happen. We can't keep tearing each other apart. Her tone cracked. So you're just going to throw away everything we've built? Just like that? It's not just like that, I told her. This has been building for a long time. It's not healthy for us, or the kids, to keep pretending this is working. That's when she exploded. She started yelling, throwing every insult she could find, calling me selfish, heartless, a terrible stepfather. Said I never cared about her or her son. Each word hit like a stone, but I held my ground. Finally, she shouted, "You're going to regret this. You can't just decide this on your own." And I said, quietly, "I think I can. And honestly, I think it's the right thing for both of us. Deep down, you know it too." Her last words were like a dagger, "You only ever think about yourself and your son." That's when I knew there was nothing left to salvage. No amount of talking would change how she saw me. So I just hung up. The silence afterward was deafening. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like it's pressing against your chest. But underneath all that weight, there was something else. Peace. A strange, fragile peace I haven't felt in a long time. Since then, the house has been quiet. Not lonely quiet, just calm. Like the air after a storm finally settles. My son's been incredible through all this. He's been worried, sure, asking what happens next, if everything's going to be okay. We've had some long, honest talks on the couch, just the two of us. I told him the truth, that things are going to change, but we'll face it together. That no matter what, I'm not going anywhere. And man, he's handled it with so much maturity. Way more than I had at his age. I'm proud of him, not just for how he's coping, but for how he's growing through it. So yeah, it's official. The papers are in motion. There's a mountain of logistics ahead, lawyers, property, arrangements, all that fun stuff. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm steering my own life again. It's terrifying, sure. But it's also freeing. Like taking a deep breath after being underwater for too long. So that's where I'm at, standing on the edge of something new. It's not easy, it's not clean, but it's necessary. And maybe, just maybe, it's the start of something better. Here's to better days ahead, however they decide to come. Yesterday felt like something straight out of a drama film, the kind where the protagonist thinks the storm has finally passed, only for it to show up right on his doorstep. I was just finishing up some chores, trying to keep busy, trying to keep my mind off the divorce papers sitting in a neat little pile on the counter. The house was calm, too calm, when I heard a knock at the door. I figured it was a package or maybe a neighbor. But when I opened the door, there she was. My soon-to-be ex-wife. She stood there like nothing had happened, like the arguments, the ultimatums, the impossible demands, had all just vanished into thin air. She had that determined look in her eyes, the one that used to mean trouble. Before I could even say anything, she jumped right in. "This is ridiculous," she said. "You know we're being silly, letting things go this far. We can sort this out." I took a deep breath. "I'm not sure there's anything left to sort out," I told her. "We've been over. The divorce is moving forward." She blinked, clearly not expecting that. Like she thought I'd just cave the moment she showed up, that she could talk me out of everything with a few well-placed words. "We can't just throw away what we had over one disagreement," she said. "We can fix this." One disagreement? I almost laughed. It's been months of chaos, of tension so thick it filled every room we walked into. "This isn't one fight," I said quietly. "This has been breaking for a long time." But she kept going, voice trembling somewhere between anger and desperation. "Let's just go back," she pleaded. "I'll make it better. I promise. We can forget all the nasty stuff and start fresh." "Going back isn't an option," I said. "We can't pretend the past didn't happen. Things weren't okay, and deep down, you know that too." Her face hardened. Her voice grew louder, her hand slicing the air as she spoke. "You're being so stubborn. Think about us, about everything you're throwing away." "I have thought about it," I said, keeping my tone even. "Every day. And what I want now is a healthier future. For me, and for my son. That's what matters." That's when she snapped. Her expression twisted, the calm veneer completely gone. She started hurling accusations like daggers, calling me selfish, saying I was destroying her life, claiming I'd regret this forever. Her voice carried down the street, sharp and furious, and I could feel the neighbors' blinds twitching. Finally, she spat out one last line, "You'll see how big a mistake you're making. You'll miss me, and I won't be there." Then she turned on her heel and stormed off. The door slammed so hard behind her it rattled the frame. That sound, that final slam, it felt like the period at the end of a sentence I'd been writing for far too long. For a while, I just stood there. The echo still hung in the air. My chest felt tight, not from anger, not even sadness, just exhaustion. The kind that comes when you finally run out of things to fix. Eventually, I went back to folding laundry, wiping down counters, anything to ground myself. But the silence afterward hit different. It wasn't the peaceful kind. It was that eerie, heavy quiet that settles after a storm, when everything's still, but you know something's permanently changed. And as I stood there, in that quiet, I realized something simple but powerful. Sometimes moving forward means accepting that some doors, once closed, should stay closed. It's painful, sure. But there's also clarity in it. Because for the first time in a long while, the noise is gone. And maybe, just maybe, that's the sound of a new beginning. Big news, everyone, it's official. The divorce is finalized. After what felt like a marathon of stress, paperwork, and emotional tug-of-war, that chapter of my life is finally closed. It's strange, you spend months caught up in chaos, trying to keep your head above water, and then one day, just like that, it's done. No more lawyers. No more late-night arguments. No more walking on eggshells. The process itself? Brutal. There were endless meetings, long emails from attorneys that felt like mini novels, and so many signatures that my hand actually cramped up. Every discussion about splitting things fairly felt like picking through emotional shrapnel, deciding what belonged to who, both in the house and in memory. But in the end, it was fair. Structured. Clean. She got her half, I got mine. And honestly, that sense of order after all the chaos was a relief in itself. When I walked into that lawyer's office on the final day, it felt like the last exam of a grueling school year. Nerves buzzing, heart pounding, but deep down, knowing that freedom was waiting on the other side. Each signature I put down felt lighter than the last. And when the final page was signed and the lawyer said, "That's it," I just sat there for a moment, breathing. Walking out of that office, I wasn't just legally single again, I was emotionally free. Sad, sure. There's no way to walk away from years of marriage without feeling something. But under that sadness was a quiet, steady peace. Closure. Coming home afterward was surreal. The house felt different, quieter, but not empty. Just calm. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel suffocating anymore. I looked around and realized this space was truly mine now. No arguments waiting to happen. No tension humming in the background. Just me, my son, and a blank page to start fresh. And since then? I've been rediscovering myself in small but meaningful ways. I finally cracked open those books that had been sitting on my shelf for years, collecting dust while life kept getting in the way. I started watching shows I'd missed, the kind of late-night binging that used to get interrupted by another fight or another awkward silence. It's funny how even the simplest routines can feel brand new when the weight's been lifted. I've also been reconnecting with old friends. We had a game night recently, pizza boxes everywhere, laughter bouncing off the walls, and for the first time in ages, I caught myself smiling without forcing it. Turns out, I'd really missed that feeling. But the best part? My son. He's been my rock through all of this. Watching how he's handled everything, the changes, the uncertainty, it blows me away. We've been talking more lately, not just about the heavy stuff, but about random everyday things too. We cook dinner together, joke around, talk about school, movies, his plans for the future. It's like we're building something new, stronger, more honest, and more relaxed than before. And for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful. I'm not rushing into anything. No grand plans or wild life changes. Just taking it one day at a time, maybe a short trip somewhere, maybe a new hobby, maybe just learning to enjoy the quiet without needing to fill it. It's weird to say, but I'm happy. Genuinely happy. Not because everything's perfect, but because it's finally real. The air feels lighter, the world feels a little brighter, and I'm standing here ready for whatever's next. The storm's finally over. And for the first time, I'm not just surviving, I'm actually living again. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last update, and for once, I've got some genuinely good news to share. No chaos, no shouting matches, no curveballs from the universe, just peace. Real, quiet, soul-resting peace. Since the divorce officially wrapped up, life has been calm. I didn't realize how much I missed that feeling until it came back. I've been focusing on rebuilding, not in some grand dramatic way, but piece by piece, spending time with my son, rediscovering simple joys, and just letting the quiet fill the space that used to be constant tension. My son and I have been doing more together lately, and it's been amazing watching him smile again, really smile. We've been hiking on weekends, catching up on old movies, and even started this little project building a model train set. What started as something to keep busy turned into this shared hobby that's weirdly therapeutic. Watching him focus, laugh, and crack jokes while we piece it all together has been the highlight of my weeks. But here's the part one didn't see coming. I met someone. Her name's Emily, and she's honestly incredible. The whole thing came about in the most unexpected, almost cliché way. A friend of mine, you know, the kind who won't stop playing matchmaker, kept saying, "You've got to meet Emily. You two would hit it off." I brushed it off at first. I mean, after everything, I wasn't exactly eager to dive back into dating. But after a while, I figured, why not grab a coffee and see what happens? So we met at this cozy little cafe downtown, the kind of place with mismatched chairs, a record player in the corner, and the smell of espresso that hits you before the door even closes. I expected polite small talk and maybe an awkward goodbye. Instead, we ended up talking for hours. And I don't mean forced conversation, I mean that effortless kind of flow where time just disappears. We talked about everything, our favorite books, we both love mystery novels, our travel stories, our favorite cheesy 80s movies. She has this laugh that's contagious, the kind that makes you want to keep the conversation going just to hear it again. By the time the cafe lights dimmed, I realized something I hadn't felt in a long time, lightness. But what really makes Emily special is how she is around my son. From the very beginning, she's been patient, kind, and genuine. No pressure, no pretending, just herself. The first time they met, we went for a simple lunch at the park. Nothing fancy, sandwiches, soda, a frisbee, the usual. But the way they clicked, it was something else. Within minutes, they were laughing like old friends. My son's not the type to warm up to people easily, so seeing him relaxed and happy around her meant the world to me. Since then, the three of us have been spending more time together, movie nights, little weekend outings, even just hanging out at home. Emily never tries to replace anyone or force a family dynamic. She's just there, bringing warmth and positivity into our lives without even trying. And honestly, it feels like a fresh start. We're taking things slow, and that's exactly how I want it. No rushing, no heavy expectations, just enjoying each other's company and seeing where it goes. A few months ago, I couldn't even imagine feeling this balanced. But now, I wake up feeling content, hopeful, and maybe even a little excited about what's ahead. It's still early days, but I can say this with confidence. Emily's brought laughter and light back into a life that used to feel weighed down by stress. And seeing my son happy, genuinely happy, that's everything to me. So yeah, things are finally looking up. After all the storms, it feels like the sun's come out, and this time, I'm not taking it for granted.